How to Think in English, a step-by-step guide. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Knowledia. I hope you're all doing great and excited to learn something new today. If your goal is to speak English fluently, confidently, and naturally, then this lesson is just for you. Today, I'll teach you how to think in English, a crucial step toward becoming a fluent English speaker. We all know how frustrating it can be when we have to pause, translate from our native language, and then try to speak. This slows us down, lowers our confidence, and often leads to mistakes. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could skip that translation step and think directly in English? Well, I'm here to tell you it's possible. By following 4 simple stages, you can train your brain to think in English naturally, and trust me, this will transform the way you speak. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Knowledia if you haven't already. That way, you won't miss any of our lessons designed to help you on your journey to fluency. Now, let's dive into today's lesson, How to Think in English. Stage 1. Think in verbs. The power of action words. The first step in thinking in English is focusing on verbs. Verbs describe actions and are the foundation of every sentence. Why start with verbs? Because action is happening all around us, and if you can recognize and think about these actions in English, forming sentences will become much easier. Let's take an example. Imagine you're walking through Central Park in New York City. You see people engaged in different activities. Some are running. Others are talking. A dog is chasing a ball. Someone is feeding pigeons. Each of these actions is represented by a verb: run, talk, chase, feed. By observing what's happening around you, you can train your brain to describe these actions in English. This technique works anywhere, whether you're at a bus stop in London, waiting at a traffic light, or sitting in a Parisian cafe. You can always find actions to describe. For example, in a busy Tokyo street, you might see people walking quickly, someone riding a bicycle, or a group of friends laughing. Even if you're at home, you can still practice. Look at a picture or imagine a scenario. A family at a picnic, eating, playing, relaxing. In your kitchen, cooking, cleaning, washing dishes. Key practice tip. Take 5 to 10 minutes daily to focus on verbs. Choose a different location each day and identify the actions happening around you. With consistent practice, your brain will naturally start thinking in English. Stage 2. Think in nouns, naming the world around you. Once you're comfortable recognizing verbs, it's time to focus on nouns, the names of people, places, things, and ideas. Everything around you has a name, and by thinking in English, you take another step toward fluency. For example, imagine you're at the Sydney Opera House in Australia. You look around and see the building, the harbor, tourists taking photos, a boat on the water, seagulls flying above. Each of these words is a noun. The more you practice, the easier it will be to name things in English without hesitation. Even in a market in Delhi, you can name what you see: fruits, vegetables, spices, vendors. Or at home, you can identify objects around you: table, chair, book, laptop. Another great exercise is describing what's in your bag: phone, keys, wallet. The goal is to make this process second nature. Key practice tip. Spend a few minutes each day naming the objects around you in English. Whether you're at home, outside, or traveling, challenge yourself to identify everything in English. Stage 3. Think in sentences, connecting verbs and nouns. Now that you're comfortable with verbs and nouns, it's time to bring them together and form sentences. This step is essential for improving fluency because it allows you to describe what's happening around you in full thoughts. Start with simple sentences. For example, if you're in Cape Town, South Africa, you might say, the tourists are climbing the mountain. The sun is shining. The wind is blowing. Or if you're in Toronto, Canada, sitting in a park, a family is having a picnic. The children are playing with a ball. The birds are flying in the sky. As you become more comfortable, try forming longer sentences. For instance, in Berlin, Germany, near the Brandenburg Gate, you could say, a group of tourists is taking pictures of the monument. Some are listening to their tour guide, while others are checking their maps. The more you practice, the easier it will be for your brain to automatically form sentences in English. Key practice tip: spend 10 to 15 minutes daily describing your surroundings in sentences. Whether you're at home, in the office, or exploring a new city, practice forming complete thoughts in English. Stage 4. Think in paragraphs, bringing it all together. The final stage is moving from simple sentences to paragraphs. This means adding more details and creating vivid descriptions. For example, imagine visiting the Great Wall of China. I'm standing on the Great Wall, and the view is breathtaking. The mountains stretch out endlessly, and the wall winds through the landscape. There are tourists everywhere, taking pictures and exploring. The stone steps are steep and worn from centuries of use. A cool breeze is blowing, and I can hear people speaking different languages around me. Or imagine walking through a market in Istanbul, Turkey. The market is full of energy. People are shopping, bargaining, and chatting with vendors. The air is filled with the scent of spices, and the colorful textiles catch my eye. A man is selling tea from a cart, and groups of tourists are taking photos. The atmosphere is lively and exciting. By practicing paragraph-level thinking, you train your brain to describe situations in detail, just as you would in your native language. Key practice tip: take a few minutes daily to describe your day in a paragraph. Start from the moment you woke up and include details about what you did, where you went, and who you met. Why thinking in English is essential for fluency. When you first learn English, it's natural to translate from your native language. However, this slows you down and disrupts fluency. The more you practice thinking directly in English, the faster and smoother your speech becomes. For example, imagine you're in a job interview in London. If you think in your native language first, you might pause to translate. But if you've trained your brain to think in English, you can respond quickly and confidently. Practical exercises to train your brain. Here are some effective ways to strengthen your ability to think in English. 1. Daily observations. Spend 10 to 15 minutes describing your surroundings in English. 2. Picture descriptions. Look at a photo and describe everything you see. 3. Journaling. Write a short diary entry in English every day. 4. Talking to yourself. Practice speaking out loud about a topic. 5. Setting language challenges. Try thinking only in English for short periods each day. Final thoughts. The road to fluency. Learning to think in English takes time and practice, but the more you engage with the language, the more natural it will feel. By following the 4 stages, verbs, nouns, sentences, and paragraphs, you'll develop the ability to think and speak in English effortlessly. Stay consistent, practice daily, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. Are you ready to take your English to the next level? Start practicing today. Thank you for joining me on Knowledia. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.